No, as long as you know you're live, it's good like that. I'm not worried about it. Maybe it's just me not seeing it. I don't know.
Yep, we're live now. So, what's up, everybody? I got Gil Cavey on the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Gil's been a real cool guy. He's helped me out with a lot of things, and I'm glad to have him on here. He's been a good friend, and look forward to hanging out and talking to him tonight.
Thanks for having me, buddy. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad. Like I said, I'm a fan. I'm glad you finally got this thing going, man. Because I really think if you stay consistent, like we talked about, this thing will blow up. Because that whole kitchen space, there's not a lot of people doing it, man. And I know there's a lot of people out there to do it. So, but I'm glad that you're. I know it's a lot of work, but I'm glad that you're getting into it and stay consistent, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, sorry, that was me.
You're all right. It's definitely hard to do. I mean, we're understaffed, short staffed, and it's just trying to find time. But I'm just making a point to try to at least interview somebody once a week, hang out with somebody. I mean, I can put out stuff on my own, but I feel so weird just like talking to myself in front of the camera, and I can't really do it. So I enjoy interviewing people and stuff. But it's coming around. Who knows? I may find someone to try to be a co-host eventually. Who knows what I can work up my sleeve. I got some pretty decent news, good news. My son actually is going to start with me next week, and I'm actually going to be training him, which is going to be kind of weird. But uh, I'm the top tech in my market, so I want him to stay with me and learn from me. It's going to be trying the first couple of weeks, I imagine, but I think he'll catch on. Just I guess got to try to separate, family from work. It's going to be the hard thing.
That's awesome, dude. Good for. That's cool that your son's gonna do it. Mean, so I don't want to say I don't want my son to work with me because obviously I do. I want him. I know he's got a future elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I wish he would still come with me just to learn the skills. Like sometimes it's just like knowing how to turn a screwdriver, like knowing a little bit of electricity. Because like even if he doesn't like some of these skills that I learned from my dad, like say I didn't ever go into this industry, I can change outlets at my house. I can change faucets, fix a toilet, like those little things. If you teach your kid that stuff, if they don't even come into the trade, that goes a long way as they get older and they become a man of their own house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's he's never really been really mechanical. He bought a truck last year, and I've helped him do some stuff on it. And he's bashed his knuckles into the concrete and done some other stuff. You might want to open your hand and you're pushing on that. And as soon as I said it, the wrench slipped and right into the concrete. I thought he broke his hand. So he's got a long ways to go, but I think he'll be all right. He learns pretty fast. He's already trying to get his hands on some information as far as training on some certain equipment and stuff. So we'll see what's going on. What's going on, Chris? Thanks for joining, bud. The HVACR videos here.
Oh yeah, got the big dog, Chris, in here. What's up, brother?
Chris is another great one, man. He kind of helped me do this venture. I mean, just watching him and how he's just honest and open and everything that he does. He's been a pretty good inspiration, and I've actually learned a tremendous amount from him. So I really look up to Chris. So
yeah, Chris is a good dude, man. Like I said on the podcast, it's funny we're doing this, and my podcast with you actually releases tomorrow, the audio version. But yeah, man, I'm so glad to have a friendship with Chris and being able to meet him and hang out with him in person. He's a smart dude, and obviously his YouTube channel has done fucking amazing because he's smart and he shows things and he's real. Like if he makes a mistake, he shows it. You know what I mean? Like some people used to cut that stuff out, and I feel like a lot of things on here, people like authenticity, good or bad.
mm-hmm.
You know,
I've learned that. Like I've made mistakes. Like, I'll make a video and I'll reshoot it, and then once I edit it all together, I was like, man, you can tell I like said this 5 times before I got it the way I wanted. I was like, now when I make a video, what happens happens, and if I look bad, I look bad. But I mean, nobody's perfect. If you come off perfect, people know better. I mean, we're not stupid. We're technicians, shit out for a living. So
exactly. Chris said he's blushing over there.
It's deserved. Yeah. He's a good dude, man.
Yeah, just the only thing is if he hands you some candy, don't take it.
He gave me a hat, so I wasn't eating that. So
yeah.
I had the pleasure of finally meeting Chris. I've talked to him for a couple of years. I actually won one of his giveaways for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I finally got to meet him at the AHR Expo, where I met up with you and a bunch of other guys, and I was blown away. He's just as nice in person as he is in the videos and online.
Yeah, I told him it was funny when I saw him because when I first met Chris in Orlando, he had like really short, like almost like a buzz cut, and this year he had like long hair with like facial hair, and I'm like, damn, dude, what's going on? Like it's
Yeah, that kills me. I got a friend of mine that's like that too. I've known him for years, and he's always had a shaved head. And then I didn't see him for a couple months. All of a sudden, he came back with like this luscious mane of hair. And I'm like, what? He's a firefighter, and he's like, oh, he's like, it's just easier for me to shave it all the time than to, wear it in the turnout gear. And then Chris did the same thing. He's got all his hair, and I'm like, you just buzzed it for no reason. I was like, I am so jealous, man.
Yeah, me too. This is long hair for me.
Dude, mine started falling out like 17, junior year in high school. My hairline started to recede. And I just, by the time I was 24, I just started shaving every other day. Sometimes I shave once a week, just depends on what's going on.
Sorry, Chris's comment. I did know what you were giving with me. I'm just joking.
Just California guys, man.
Yeah, he gave me some candy, and I knew what it was. It's just an inside joke with him. I felt like $1 million. I'll just say that. I felt like $1 million. But Chris did say maybe you shouldn't take another one, and I was like, nah, dude, it's good. And he was like, you sure? It's like, yeah, it's cool. And we're in this
was it the piano bar or whatever?
No, it was damn it, sushi restaurant.
Nice.
And I'm like
zonked out.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there in a zone, man. It was pretty funny. It was a good time.
I was stalking him, man. I was outside Paris, and he was staying at Paris. I was like, hey, come out here. And he didn't message me back. He was busy with his wife. I was just giving him a hard time. I wanted to meet him before the show, but it was definitely cool. He actually sought me out at the HVAC Tactical Awards and like came up to me, and I was like so starstruck, man. I was like, Chris Stevens came up and talked to me. Well, I got to my table and I was like freaking out because I sat with who's your HVACR, Dave Elliott, and then like I get to the table and there's Eric Ani and Andy Mickelson. I was like, what the hell? How did I get stuck with these guys? It's like, this was freaking amazing, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. It's one thing that like I don't know, like, do I look short on like camera? Like, do I look like I would be a shorter guy?
No.
Because everybody sees me in person, they're like, you're way taller than I thought you were. I'm like, what do you think? I was like a fucking midget or something? Like, I mean, I'm 6'1". I'm not a little guy.
I'm way fatter than I appear on camera. I'll give you that. I'm working on that, man. I lost like 100 pounds going up to Vegas to AHR, and I've gained like 30 of it back because I've been to Vegas. I went to Vegas for AHR, and I turned around like 6 weeks later, went back. Then I went to Daytona for a week, and I just kind of, I don't eat totally stupid, but I just don't do what I'm supposed to do. So I got my barn built finally, and I got a pretty nice home gym I'm setting up out there for my kids and me. So try to get out there for at least 30 to 45 minutes a day. So we'll see how that goes. See if I can get down to like 270 for AHR next year, because I hear it's going to be a black tie event, HVAC Tactical Awards, and I got to be looking good.
Yeah, so I'm going to get me another tux. That was a good time. I was actually just talking to Ben Poole the other day. We were talking about some stuff, and we were talking about the next award show because I guess he's making the promo for this year. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see, like, I think even this year is going to be 3 times the size of last year. But you think of like in like 3 or 4 years, I bet you there's a couple thousand people at this award show. Like he really started something that's really, it's awesome, and it's really going to take off.
Oh, it's amazing, man. It's great to see these guys get awards. I didn't know anything about it until pretty late on, and luckily I keep talking about Dave, but Dave's a pretty good friend, and he got me tickets, and I was glad I went. It was a great time. The swag was amazing. Met a lot of cool people. I was starstruck. I felt like a little kid. Like I was seeing celebrities, baseball players, football players. It's all these people in the industry that have YouTube and social media, and I was just blown away. And I look forward to it. I know he said he was at least going to double it, but I bet it's probably more than double. I was over at RLS this week hanging out with Paul and Jessica over there, and I guess they already signed on to be a sponsor. So I'm looking forward to see what all is going to happen. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to. And it's funny when you say that, because like I'm just a regular dude, and anybody knows me knows that's who I am. But when I meet people and they're like, I remember going to my first HR in Orlando, and Mike Mayberry, Reefer guy, he's doing a demo at Solder Weld, and I'm standing over there just bullshitting with like him, Lance from Solder Weld, and some other people. And these group of like younger, they're probably like in like their early 20s, are looking, and Mike goes, oh, well, this is blah, 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 blah. And that's Gil from HVAC Uncensored. You would have thought that he just told those kids that Michael Jordan's standing there, or LeBron James. These kids wanted me to like sign their shirt and shit. And I'm like, hey man, like, I mean, it feels cool. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not cool, but it's funny though, because it's like, I'm a HVAC guy, man. Like I am nobody fucking special. Like the first time I met Hughes, he was like, "Oh my god, I'm standing here next to Gil," and I'm like, you know what's he's got more subscribers on YouTube than I do. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's that's the fun part of this. Like I've said a million times is the relationships. Like when I go to HR, podcasting is really the least on my mind. You know what I mean? Because the podcast all the throughout the year are the ones that make or break you. The ones at the show are just kind of fun to have. It's good content, but the relationships of the people you meet, hanging out with guys like Chris and Tersh Blissett and, from Service Business Mastery and Josh and like, other people like that, like that's what makes them so fun, meeting the other people. Cause then you start to do these collaborations and things like that. And it's really fun. Like that's the part that I love. That's why I'll never miss an AHR. I really need to start going to some more of these events like ACA. I'm supposed to be a guest speaker at the Women's and HVACR event in this tells you how bad it is. I don't even know. I think it's in like October or something. But I don't. My wife's gonna have to go to that because I tell my wife like, yeah, I'm gonna go be a guest speaker at the Women in HVACR, and she's like, yeah, the fucking not. You're going to that.
Shout out to Refrigeration and Kitchen EQ Tech. He does the same stuff I do, and he's been making videos on how to do some repairs stuff. He's got a pretty good channel, pretty good content. But he's watched a video from Ryan, and Ryan had a pretty cool video from the award show, and it's gained a lot of interest from that. So that was pretty cool of Ryan to do. But yeah, shout out to him, and he's a good dude.
Yeah.
I look. I mean, Mike, I have a goal. I think I told you just a couple weeks ago. When we talked, is I want to do a podcast there. I mean, if I get 30 minutes or whatever, I mean, I gotta do what I gotta do. But like, I was talking to you, and you were waiting on someone to show up to do a podcast with you there, and I was like, please don't ask me to be on here because the guy hadn't showed up yet. I was like, please don't ask me to do this. Please don't ask me to do this. I mean, I started this on a whim, so. I have ADHD, so I bounce around all the time. I'm all over the place, dude. I can't focus on one thing. And one day I was like, hey, I want to do a podcast. I was like, then a couple weeks went by. I was like, it is what it is. And my work found wind of it. And they're like, hey, no, we want you to do this. And I was like, oh, no, now I'm doing it. But it's been a blast. I just got to find time and do it.
Dude, if you want to, God damn it, this thing keeps going big. If you want a podcast at AHR, I'll get you to podcast at AHR. Like, I'm serious. If you want to do it, then we'll make it happen. So if you're going to be there in Atlanta,
I got to book my room tonight. My wife's been looking, and we're kind of late to the game, but I think she wants to rent. I think she found some apartments pretty close, and she wants to rent some fancy apartment or something. Who knows of her?
Yeah, so we can do it two ways. Like, you can come on with me, or I can introduce you to Nicole Bush, and she can get on and get a time slot, and then you can go up that way. Your logo's up on there. So however you want to do it, let me know.
I may have to talk to her and see. I just got to be more consistent. I don't want to sign up for it and then I don't have time and be committed. So I want to get a little more time and get a little more consistent. But yeah, refrigeration and kitchen EQ Tech. Yeah, I had a ton of footage from the NRA show, and that's when I was having problems with my solid state drive and my Adobe software, and it kind of got corrupted and I lost a bunch of it. But the NRA show is National Restaurant Association. I had to specify that when I made the video. Like, it's not the Pew Pew show; it's actual like kitchen equipment. It's a huge show. It's up in Chicago every year, and it's at the big convention center out there. And it's nothing but food manufacturers, equipment manufacturers, third-party vendors, all that kind of stuff. It was cool. It was a blast. Like, you walk around all day. If you leave out of that place hungry, something's not right. Crazy. That was the only second ever like trade show thing I ever been to. I went to AHR, and then I went to that, and I was just blown away. I had my camera and I was recording, but there was a lot of cool stuff I didn't get a chance to see because it was so busy. Like, Middleby had a booth, and they had the robot out there cooking food and stuff, and everyone just swarmed it. So I didn't get any videos of it, any good videos of that. So maybe next year I'll get some better stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna carry one of my like Ryan Hughes had the good idea. Like, there it's just about capturing footage, and like I was trying to carry like my nice expensive cameras around, and it just gets to be too much. You're fucking lugging it around, and is the battery charge? So now I'm just gonna I'm gonna bring one of my nice cameras still, but I'm also I'm gonna bring like the GoPro, and then I have one of those. It's called the what is it? The Pocket 4K, the DJI Pocket 4.2 or something like that. And the thing shoots 4K video. It's got like a built-in gimbal, and it's like this big. And I've been using it Um, and at first I was like, oh, well, this video is going to be goofy. Like it's not going to look as good. You can't tell. So I think I'm going to take that and just shoot video that way. And it's going to be so much easier. It even has a little lav mic with the kit. I got the creator's kit,
Yeah.
and sound quality is good and it's nice and simple. So I'm like, I'm just going to do that.
I'm coming back. This camera auto timed off.
I was wondering. I was like, damn. I was like, good thing we ain't playing the blinking game. You would have won.
No, it's got a half-hour timer. It's as long as it'll go, and I forgot to hit a button. So I was like, "Hey, why did I freeze?" I was like, "Oh shit, it turned off."
Well, you know, with those cameras, if you don't have to hit record.
No, I know, but it's got the auto off feature. So yeah, I have an AC adapter plugged into it, so it stays powered all the time. But with this particular camera, the software it's in it has a half-hour auto off. You can't like disable it, so you got to hit a button. And I turned it off beforehand, so it froze for a second, but my picture is still there at least. So
Yeah, I know some of the old Sonys used to have something like that. But as long as if you just plugged into it and didn't actually hit record, it wouldn't go off. So that's why I said that.
I don't have to hit record or anything. I have to do well once I click the button, turn it on, it goes into live mode, and it probably just turns it on internally. But what's up, Dave? How are you been, man? Dave Johnson is another kitchen guy.
What's up, fellas? Just so you know, I started out in the kitchen world, refrigeration, kitchen equipment. So I'm not a nobody. I know that area. I
He knows
respect what you do.
he knows the grease. Yeah, mine. I use a Samsung S21 Plus for most of my footage. I have a GoPro Hero 8, and man, some days the batteries are great. Some days the batteries last 5 minutes. I don't get it, and it's the same batteries, and I always charge them up. But it's so frustrating with them. So I need to get a new one, see if it does any better.
Yeah, well, sometimes like I've learned, dude, this is me to a T. When I first started, they call it like the bigger content creators call it GAS, gear acquisition syndrome. That- yeah, you keep thinking like, oh, I can't do this until I get this new camera, or this new microphone, or I get this. And really, in the beginning, it's all about producing content. I mean, if you have a phone, whatever, start with your phone. As you start getting a little traction, then get another better microphone. I spent way too much money way too soon, and half of the shit I didn't even need.
That's
I
the same
mean,
with me. I hadn't even started. I hadn't even made an episode yet. And I go out and buy a Rodecaster Pro, and so I've got the Rode wireless Go Tos. I use that a lot for work though. If I'm recording something for work, I can clip that onto my shirt, and I can kind of isolate a lot of the background noise out, because in the kitchens, man, there's always music playing, and I've been nailed so many times on copyright strikes. I'm like, I'm not monetized, so it doesn't really matter. But it's like I get nailed all the time, and like I'll get videos on Instagram or Facebook where they mute it or take it down. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, it's in the background. I'm not trying to make money off none of this. But a lot of times, I got a buddy, Jason Latimer. He does some content on TikTok and Instagram stuff, but he literally just takes his phone, turns it on record, throws it in his pocket, and just like records everything he does, and it looks great. I'm like, I feel so stupid. I'm over here setting up tripods and clamp on phone holders. This guy's recording out of his pocket, and it's better than anything I've done. It's like, it's driving me nuts.
yeah, it's just, and there's two different kinds of people. So I always say there's like the it's all like I told you, it's all about consistency, being consistent. Like if you look at Chris, he puts out so many videos every week. He does his live stream every week, and he's been doing that for a long time. People know on a certain days to look for Chris. So there's people that do like really good quality, like they worry about quality content and they do it like once a week. Or you have somebody like Steve Lav. Steve Lav puts a video every day. His picture's not the best. It's not like crazy edited, but people know, hey, I'm getting a video from Steve Lav every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekend. So it's not kind of like a one size fits all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I used to be addicted to his videos, dude. I used to watch them all the time.
Steve's funny, man.
He gets on a little rant occasionally, gets kind of mad. It's funny, but it was always good to watch his videos. I haven't watched it in a while. I need to subscribe to this account and check him out. It's been a while.
Steve's one of those old heads used to tell me all the time. They're like, your podcast is never going to grow if you're cussing, Gil. You got to keep it clean or it won't grow. Well, I say fuck all the time, and my podcast is one of the biggest ones out.
Well, when I met Chris Stevens, like he started cussing. I was like, whoa, 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 where'd this come from?
Chris said Steve blocked me. Apparently, I said something wrong. Hey, I respect Steve for what he does, but I don't think he's a fan of mine either. I don't know why, but
Some people are just not fans of other creators' content, though. I mean, that's just them. I mean, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. So whatever. It is what it is. It's funny, man. I'm used to like looking at screens and clicking buttons and stuff. I'm not used to being on a show where my hands can be free, man. I'm sitting here, I don't know what to fucking do.
It's like, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's awesome. So, what's your background? I know you said you started off in the kitchen refrigeration stuff. So, can you just explain like your journey and what you've done?
Yeah, sure. So I got out of high school and um I wanted to go play football. I literally snapped my ankle. So my knee was facing forward and my foot was facing the other way. So I lost my scholarship and I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do now? I was also I wanted to go in the Marine Corps before that, and my whole family's Marines. My dad said, uh, no. He was like, I want you to go play football. You know, we've paid our debt to this country. I was like, okay. I got hurt, got healed up, and then I went, into the military. And then when I got out, I didn't know I was a knucklehead. I still did. I didn't use it for the proper purpose to learn anything. All time passed. Um, so I got out. My dad said, either come work for me or get out of my house. I was like, I'm gonna go work for you, buddy. And my dad worked for. So in Maryland, there was this restaurant chain that they had changed names. It was called like white coffee pots for like these little diners, and then it was Horn Buffet, and then it was Cactus Willie's Buffet. And my dad took care of the maintenance for all these restaurants. So when I went to work for him, it was in house. So we did all of the ovens, the fryers, the steam wells, everything, the electrical, the toilets. I mean, the only thing we didn't work on was the soda machines because they had a contract for that. Other than that, we worked on everything in that place. And that's where I learned refrigeration, kitchen equipment, and I loved it. I love working for my dad, but I got too big for my britches. I thought that, so I worked with my dad for, I want to say like 4 years, and my dad taught me a lot, but I left him and I went to work for a big refrigeration company. And when I first left my dad, I used to literally call, I was out there fucking shit up, bro. Like I was destroying stuff. I would call my dad every call. Like, hey, dad, I got this going on. I don't have power here. And my dad would be like, finally, he was like, are you going to give me half your paycheck at the end of the week? I'm like, what are you talking about, dad? He's like, son, you're never going to learn unless you fucking figure it out. He's like, so let's just emergency. Don't call me while you're at work. He's like, you want to talk about work? We'll talk about it afterwards. Click. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, what the hell? But that's the best thing you could ever did, man, because then I really started sticking my nose in the books. I didn't want to ever go to a call again where I had no clue what was going on. So I worked at that refrigeration company, and that's where I started doing like convenience store refrigeration, stuff like that. I worked my way up to go on the supermarket side, where I did like the rack systems for like Costco's, Walmart's, all that kind of stuff. I did that for several years, loved it. The work was challenging. I really loved the work. Um, I just didn't like, because we're in Maryland. We had some stores that were like in like Virginia, like Chantilly and stuff like that. It's like 2 hours away. There were several times they called 2 o'clock in the morning and, they got a $500,000 or $1 million worth of product. It's not see at 8. It's, you better get your ass here ASAP. And there's one time I had to go change a compressor at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's not you're sweating through the night. It's we have a ton of food here, and if you don't come, we'll find someone else. And we'll never call you guys again. Type work.
Yeah, and I do miss that kind of work because I did some really cool jobs. Like, I did work at a uh, bu- 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 meat packing plant, like a slaughterhouse, and obviously we did the refrigerations there, which was ammonia. That's the only time in my career I've ever worked on ammonia systems. Well, I take that back. That's one of the main times in the first time. But we also took care of in the actual slaughterhouse. So it's called Truth. So it's kosher. It's Jewish, which that place is a crock. I'll tell you about that in a second. But we took care of it. At the end of the cycle, it was a cleaning machine, like a high pressured cleaning machine, and we actually took care of that for some reason. But that was specialty. There's no manual for that. You know what I mean? Like you had to just figure it out as you went. But I thought it would be cool to watch a cow get slaughtered. It was not cool at all. Like it was actually pretty gruesome. And yeah, it was like Saw stuff, from the movie Saw. I was like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
want to see it again.
I've only been in one slaughterhouse, and they weren't killing when I was in there, but I had to go walk. I had to go work on the walk-in. I was just doing a PM, so I had to clean coil or whatever. And they opened a big slider door, and there's a track going across the ceiling. And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I opened the door, and there's half of cows, and they're cut right down the middle. And one side still has a head, and there's eyeballs just staring at you, but there's no skin. I was like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah, it's
Definitely different, man.
and if you look, like most of them are built the way this was built, it had levels for those tracks. So
Yeah.
it would just go down gradually, and you get hit by one of those, you're dead. I mean,
Fuck you up. Yep.
yeah, you're done.
And stuff on them. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know the whole thing about kosher is normally there was a rabbi when it would come in, like the head would come in, it would lift up the backside, like clamp around its neck, and then he would do like his blessing and then literally slit its throat. Well, let's just say that there was Jewish holidays where the rabbi wasn't there. They were still doing it was
Getting killed.
yeah, there was just one of the dudes up there like, yeah, go fuck yourself, slip. But they really have good meat. They used to give us that's where I learned about cuts of steak I didn't even know about, like Delmonico cuts and different ones. And I was like, it's when you get fresh meat like that, it's fucking great.
Well, this place is like one of the only places in my area. Well, they're up north of me about an hour and a half, but they serve they butcher like Wagyu, like they import like Wagyu and like butcher it and stuff. And it was just crazy the stuff I seen there. I was like, holy shit! I was young in my career. I'd been doing refrigeration for like 2 years at this point, and I was like, what the hell am I getting into? But you were talking about the rack stuff at like Costco and Walmart and stuff, and man, I am so intrigued by this stuff. I watch guys' videos. I'm friends with Brett Wessel, and I listen to his stuff, and I follow Kevin. I look at his stuff and Corey Cruz and all those guys, and I'm like, man, I'm so intrigued by the stuff they do. But that's just my mind how it works. I always want to learn more, but I was like, man, I don't want to start over and learn something else. But I just watch those guys, and the stuff they do is just amazing. I'm like, you walk up to this controller, and you can shut valves off. You can throw it in a defrost. It tells you all your temperature points and when it acts it up. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, I have a lot of ovens that do that too. They map everything. You get into them, and they're touch screens, and you can get into them, and it tells you everything about them. So that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I loved it. And like I said, that work was challenging. I love the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. So I did commercial and stuff like that for more of my career than residential. In the 20 something years, I would maybe now it's 50-50, but I loved all that stuff, man. And it was good. I really just backed my way into residential, and then I went to work at a company. And the fact that I'm a people person, for one, it was like residential. It's like, this work is fucking easy. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can rock and my ladder staying on my truck. I don't got to go out at midnight. But I really liked the people stuff, helping people and stuff like that. And then I got good at it, and I was able to do good in revenue. And then I ended up doing, I had like a $3 million year in sales one time, revenue. And, and one thing I will say, I did 3 million. Well, it was 2.8 million to be exact. I don't want, go over, but, I never sold anybody anything they didn't need. And that was as a technician. I just offered things and tried to be really thorough. And then I started to work my way up into management. And, that's how I got to where I am now. But that's why now I love the training part of it, training our team. And I just want to be a good boss. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be the manager that I never had. And I had some good ones, don't get me wrong. So that's kind of a figure of speech. But I remember being on call and being stuck and going to call my boss, and I don't get an answer, and you feel like alone, or you feel stuck out there. And my team knows they can call me anytime, and I'm going to fucking answer. My wife knows. I don't care if we're sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner. If one of the technician calls and says, hey, Gil, I need you, I'm answering the fucking phone,
Yeah, I respect that. I mean, I'm the same way. I'm not a manager, but I do training for certain product lines from us across the country. And I have two phones. I used to only have my work phone, but we changed owners and everything, and they start tracking everything. So I was like, oh, I better get a personal phone for all the social media stuff I do, so they won't get in trouble. So, but I tell these guys, man, if I have them in class, I'm like, here's my phone number. My phone is always on. If I don't answer the first time, give me a couple minutes. I'll try to call you back as soon as I can. But I run tech support for product lines that I teach and other product lines across the board. Chris Stevens says he's super interested in the home performance stuff right now, but he's gonna keep doing commercial. That's kind of a weird path, though. I mean, most guys go from residential and then get to commercial and then go to refrigeration. You kind of went like backwards. It's kind of different, but it's cool, man.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. And I'll be honest, if I had to go back, like say, so I've worked my way up that I'm the chief operating officer of an HVAC company, but let's just say worst case scenario, this business folded or I had to leave or I had to go do something else and I had to go back in the field, I would go to a commercial company, you know?
See, we do only commercial. I mean, there's some high end houses that have like their zone to business, so we can go in there and do stuff. They'll have commercial kitchens in there. Like we do work at Lucas Oil Estates, which is Lucas Oil Racing Products. They have he bought a big mansion in Carmel, just north of Indianapolis, and they have it looks like a garage, and it's actually got a basement. There's a full kitchen in there, walk-in cooler, freezer, dish machine. It's like fully decked out. They have big parties, and it's just he doesn't live there. He just has parties there, and we go there and do work. But I mean, the biggest aspect of my job I love is dealing with customers. Like you'll have a customer's mad, upset when you get there, and I try to calm them down. And then once you fix it, even if you don't fix it, you explain it to them in a way they understand. They're like they realize that you're a human and you're there to help them, and they treat you totally different. I had one guy I was training. He'd been doing his job for 20 plus years, but he came to our company, so I had to train him on our way to do paperwork, the tablet, that kind of stuff. And he looked at me one day and thought I was crazy. He's like, "Does that customer know she's paying you to talk to her for 5 minutes?" And I was like, "She'd rather me talk to her for 5 minutes, treat her like a human being, than just to be a robot. Your shit's broke and walk out the door." I was like, "She doesn't care about that 5 minutes, dude." I was like, I greeted her, asked her how her day was going. I told her what we had to do or what we needed to do. She didn't care about that, man. Treat them like a human being and go a long way.
It's building relationships, man. Like I always tell people, I don't care if you're in residential, commercial, industrial, it's relationships. And it's, if you worry about money, you'll never make it. If you worry about the people you're taking care of, the business, whatever, money will come. So it's, you can't be that kind of person, because then you are like a robot. You know what I mean? Hey, your shit's up and running. Have a good day. Okay.
Yep, there's Chris. He says he tells his employees he would gladly tell them to be with customers. It just builds a relationship, like you said. Like I have customers that request me, and my office will be like, "Hey, he can't come for 4 or 5 days, maybe next week," and the customer's like, "We'll wait." If it's not something that's major important, and a lot of times I have customers call me directly. Like I have a school system, I do all their work, and they call me directly, and I tell the office, I'm like, "Hey, this is, such called, and they want us to come out." And they'll move my schedule around because it's a top 3 or 4 customer and they get their way. It's the same with the university I take care of. I landed that account, and then I've got too busy doing other stuff that I didn't get to go back. And the chef called me one day. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm not getting the service I need. You took care of us, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Man, you just got to tell them if, to get me back there, unless it's emergency and you want someone out there today and I can't come, then you can get somebody else." I said, "But just tell them, hey, request me only." And I said, I hate being that way, but I mean, I secured the customer. I think, if they want me only, then they should have me only. It's just how I feel. I mean, I don't know how my boss feels about it, but it works out pretty good.
Chris just said, "I get offended when customers request me because it means they have no faith in my employees." And it's funny you say that, because I know what you mean, because when I was in the field, I loved being requested. When people are like, "I only want Gil, that's all I want." And it was hard to let go when I was no longer in the field. So then I had to portray, and that's where training became huge, where it's like, I need to tell that customer that, "Hey, Timmy, he's properly trained. I personally trained him. He's going to give you the same level of service that I get no matter who comes out, but I'm going to send Timmy out and he's going to take care of you." I'm not saying Timmy like he's a fucking 6-year-old. But yeah. And, and then he goes out and does a good job, and now they call and they, request him. It hurts your feelings a little bit. It's like, man, they don't want me anymore, but you have to do that. It has to happen.
I see Chris's side of it, and he's a little different because he's an owner, but he's still out there every day. He's fixing things. He's training techs. So I see his side of it too. I'm just a technician, so my ego likes it. So right now it is, but I try to get my guys that they need to slow down. I've got 3 guys now. I'll have 4 coming up when my son starts, but I try to get these guys to slow down. Just quit thinking I can get these calls done and go home. No, if you're the type of guy that only wants to work 8-9 hours a day, that's fine. But take the time to take care of the customers. Don't, because she's got 5 calls and you think you got to do all 5. You don't have to do all 5. She just has them on there and hopes that you can do all 5. So take the time and take care of the customer. Just talk to them. I mean, it goes a long way. Just be a person. They're human beings too. Don't just, if you're having a bad day, don't let the customer show it. If it's a piece of equipment is kicking your ass, don't let the customer see it. There's things I work on all the time that I've never seen. I mean, I walk up to it and I look at it and I'm like, all right. I'm like, let's find someone that works, uses this thing. Like, hey, turn this thing on. Let me see what's going on. I need to see how you guys turn it on, make sure it's not an issue. So yeah, Chris is right. One call at a time. That's a big key. Don't rush through it, man. There's another day to get the job done. Yeah, we may be backed up, but take care of the customer.
And if you don't know what you don't know, sometimes people just want you to be honest. And, obviously I'm in the residential game now, but all of our technicians, I take quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. So we provide a premium service. So we are a little bit more expensive, but it's because of that. You have my technicians or our technicians' undivided attention while they're at your house. And they're going to do everything that needs to be done at your house, get it up and running, do what they got to do. And then they're going to move on to the next one. And guess what? If they only get 3 calls done that day, but they get it done to the standards that we've set, win-win.
Yep, I appreciate the thing. I'd rather it be done right, the customer happy and taken care of, than to get an extra 2 calls done a day and then you got to go back on because you rushed through it and you didn't see it finished, or you missed something. So what's Dave Johnson say? Dave, especially now in the day of contactless invoicing, had a Heritage Tech come out, took care of the issue, but I had no idea what exactly was done and how much until getting a late payment notice. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of guys, we're contactless too, but I always make sure I talk to the highest manager there. I do the same thing. When I walk in, I go to the counter. I never walk behind the counter to a restaurant. I always wait at the counter. If there's a line, I wait through the line. That's just how I do it. And I ask for a manager, and someone goes, "Oh, I'm the shift leader." I'm like, "Okay, do you know what's going on with this piece of equipment?" No. I'm like, "Well, find me, can I speak to someone else?" And I'll get someone else. So I always try to find the highest manager available to check in and check out with. And they don't sign our phones anymore just because of COVID. We haven't had anyone. Everything's on our phone, and no one signs it anymore. So I make sure I tell them, hey, what's your name, and explain anything to them. We're still contactless due to COVID. I'm gonna write your name right here. Is that cool? And then make sure they're okay with it, and sign their name, and go about the business.
Yeah, it's a weird world that we're living in, man. It's one of those things, like I say in the military, you got to adapt and overcome. It's also about your mood, man. When people go to work every day and you just kind of have that piss poor, sourpuss attitude, it makes everything harder, man. Just when you walk into a customer, whether it's residential, commercial, whatever, and you just walk in with a smile on your face, hey, how you doing today? You know what I mean? Like, that something's down, in your line of work. Like a homeowner, obviously it sucks because their AC, most people have one. They're uncomfortable. In your business, maybe it's a fryer or an oven or something important. So just having a little bit of decency goes a long way. It's not even just about your technical ability. Just be a good person. That's what I always say. Like hiring people, like you can teach people how to work on this stuff. You can't teach them to not be a shitbag. I mean, you know what I mean?
I want to do a class we're in 29 branches and like 27 states. But I think that part of the onboarding process, we should have a soft skills class, like teach people how to interact with other people. Because a lot of people, especially, I'm not calling anybody out, but some of the older guys are grumpy and just like, hey, walk in, what's broke, fix it, it's fixed, leave. I mean, those days are gone. These people want to know what you've done. You're sending them a bill for $900,000, $2,000. They want to know what they're getting for their money. And so I think in my line of business, there should be a soft skills class. And I think it'd probably benefit, your line of business too. I mean, people don't know how to talk to people, and it's a struggle. So
yeah, no, they don't.
Gregory Bulls, you're hot side transitioning to cold side too. Your biggest tip is have some patience, man. When I first transitioned, because I started off hot side only and went to refrigeration, picked it up, is take your time and don't get in a rush, man. You can turn an oven on, it's going to cycle up to temp at 350 degrees, 3 or 4 times in 5-10 minutes. You do a walk-in cooler, and it's not going to get down to temperature overnight. You never know. Sometimes you got to call back and come back. So take your time, man. It's a learning curve. Have fun with it, though.
Yeah, see, I always did both. I know some people that only did just hot or just refrigeration, but most of the places I did, we did well, I can't say that. Most of the time we did both sides, but there was sometimes where we wouldn't touch the kitchen equipment. And I don't miss having, arm hair like, fryers, grease when I changed the insert, yeah, having the grease in my arm hair and stuff. Yeah.
I want to do a sleeve tattoo, but I'm scared to do it because it's going to get destroyed. My arms are nothing but scabs, burns, cuts. I'm a
Um,
terrible person. Like I got to do a grill thermostats tomorrow. I got two grills. Well, two thermostats changing a big grill at a burger place, and my arm's gonna be bleeding by the time I'm done because I don't want to take it all, tear it apart, and jam my arm in there. I'll just loosen up what I can and force my arm in there to get to the bolts and tear them out. I mean, it's my own impatience, but I mean, I'll deal with it.
yeah, I got some this I have some tattoos on this arm, but this will be sleeved out by the time AHR comes.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
There's a really good artist, man. He's like, there's a couple of good people around me that are pretty well known and do some really cool stuff. And my wife booked me an appointment with one, and I canceled just because I was like, man, I can't spend $2,000 to $5,000 on an arm and then have it just destroyed from heat and scratches and everything else.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine who he's a good tattoo artist, so I go to him and he's I'm one of those people I go to friends because I rather give them my money and I like their quality of work, not because I get a discount. People are like, "Oh, was he hooked you up?" I'm like, "No, I don't even ask him."
No, I'm the same way. If my friends do something, I would pay full price. I respect what they do. I respect their hustle. I'm not trying to get a discount, man. I've had people like, oh, it's this much. You're a friend. I'm like, no. I have a friend that did some stuff for me for free, and I knew how much he did the work for, and I ended up just giving him the money. He was like, no, I'm not taking it. I'm like, no, you're taking it, dude. I was like, your time's worth something. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm getting yelled at. It's all good.
That's funny. But yeah, I never beat anybody up on what they charge. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, people always like, why don't you start doing work on your own? I'm like, man, I don't want to be involved in that part of the money. Like we don't even take cash payment. Like if we call them COD customers, but really we pre-authorize credit card for a certain amount. There's like, I don't take a check or nothing. We run your credit card, say if we know it's going to be like a certain amount, we'll hit you for $500 just to come out, and then we'll hit you for the rest afterwards. If you don't like that, we'll call somebody else. We're not going to deal with it.
Yeah, well, most of the time in commercial, you have like a 30, 60-day net. Sometimes you get 90. But
Yeah.
to be honest, dealing with that side of it, that's what I try to get out to people is I think everybody should own their own business if that's what you want to do, because you can get some benefits, but it's not easy. If you think you're going to open a business because you're going to make so much more money and you're going to have all this free time, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. That's not what happens. When you first do it, you're going to make less than you did working for somebody else. And I always say this, I feel like a broken record, but it's the truth is you can be the best fucking technician in the world, but it doesn't mean you're going to be a good business owner. It's two totally different skill sets. Some of the best business owners I know were horrible fucking technicians.
Yeah, it's definitely a different breed. I mean, I don't want to do it, but people are like, oh, you should do it. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it, man. I get treated pretty well where I'm at. They take care of me, so I don't want to turn my back on them. I mean, I'm pretty well taken care of. I can't complain, man.
Yeah, if you have somewhere you're happy, you have good benefits and your stuff like that, then it's all good. Like me, I'm happy being the right hand man right now. I got a good young friend. We say we're partners, but he's the owner. I'm not. I just run the company for him. He's the owner. But he takes care of me. He pays me damn good. He pays me very well. And yeah, I run the day-to-day operations of the company. And then I have my other little side hustles. I have another business with my brother. I got the podcast. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm good. If I was younger, I do wish I would have started my own company back in the day. Me and my dad always talked about it, but it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it interests me. I mean, I do. It sounded cool, but I don't think I could do it. So Chris says, my biggest struggle is running the business. I have a tough. He's thought about working for someone else many times. Yeah, yeah, I can see that, especially still being a technician, man. I mean, you have such a high standard for what Chris does. I could see it being kind of rough.
Yeah, damn right.
Chris always posts out these hiring and stuff. I'm like, man, if it wasn't California, dude, if it wasn't California.
I want to go out there and help him with the system in his house, man, just to go hang out with him and chill in California for a little bit. I told him, I said, man, I might try to come out there. I'll get a hotel or whatever and help him put the system in his house, because his winters are a lot in California are a lot better than the winters in Baltimore. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I know he's talking about he wants to do a pretty pretty high tech system in his house. I see he's been making posts about it stuff, and he's got a lot of good friends that could probably do it for him. So that'd be pretty cool. Go out there and hang out with Chris. And I don't do residential, so I'd come out and just hang out and bullshit. But
That's what I'm saying. It would be a good time to go out and just help him. Even if I was only there for like a day or two, just chill. We could make some good content together, have a good time. I didn't mean to interrupt you. My fault, dude.
You're good. I wouldn't be able to go to California without my wife, so it'd be a little more expensive for me. But I always tell I'm friends with Brent Ridley from Tool Pros, and he does that Miracle Mechanical, which is pretty cool. I'm like, dude, I don't do anything residential, but if there's ever anything I can do, I will come down and help you just to help you because I think it's an awesome thing they do.
Yeah. Brent's a good dude, man. He I got to go to the local Lowe's to see if I can see his thing here.
It's gone, man. I went looking for it. Oh, my camera shut off again. I just keep talking. I'll get it back on in a second. Stupid.
Lincoln contest.
Yeah, I'll win. Come on back on. There it goes. It beeped, and I'm back. I'll have to update software and see if I can take that out of it. It's driving me nuts. I did use my my GoPro because I can live stream from it, and it wasn't too bad. But this camera has such a better picture. It's just trying to figure that out. You found Brent? I looked and I realized it was too late by the time I looked. I was going to try to steal one because when I get my office, I wanted to hang it up on the wall and be like, I got Brent Ridley's got my back, you know?
Yeah, Brent's cool, man. Like I've been talking to Brent for years, but I finally met him for the first time in Vegas.
Yeah.
So Vegas was awesome, dude. I got to meet a lot of people for the first time. Like, you know, I've met a good core of guys, but, you know, got to meet Brent and his wife, which was awesome. Craig, AC Service Tech, which I've watched that guy's videos for years. That was awesome. Greg Fox from Fox Family, like quite a few people that I weren't expecting to be there. I got to meet. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I hung out with Brent and a bunch of other people at the RLS meetup. They had a meetup, and the RLS gave away a press fitting to a pretty cool guy. They gave him a gun and like so much money for fittings, and it's worked out pretty good. But man, I met so many guys that day. I met a lot of plumbers. Like I follow a ton of plumbers now. I met like Jeff Jdem, HVAC guy. I met Michael Flynn, Omar the plumber. I was like, I follow you guys. I was like, can I get a picture, man? I was like starstruck. And I keep talking about Dave, but Dave's like, dude, get a picture with these guys. He's like, they're just normal guys, man. They just have big followings and they're all cool. So I started getting pictures with them and meeting them. And guys like, oh, what's your name? Like, oh, I don't follow you. And they look me up like, okay, I follow you now. And they star my, so they get notifications from me. I was like, holy shit, this is insane.
Sorry, I was answering the comment. Yeah, it's
get along. Yeah, I don't consider myself an influencer. I mean, someone said that to me one day, and I was like, I don't have any influence.
Yeah, sometimes you have more than you think, man. Sometimes even if the influence is small, as it goes, it gets bigger and bigger. Like I think it's funny when I hear other people, talking about me and stuff like that, and it's whatever, man. It's just cool to be able to help other people. And like Chris said, to be able to make friends in the industry and talk to people. And now some of these guys, like, me and Chris talk not all the time, he's busy and does other things, but like, Tersh Blissett from the HVAC, Service Business Mastery podcast, me and Tersh talk all the time. You know what I mean? He's become a really good friend. And, yeah, that's the best because you're like-minded people. You're in the same industry. You're going through the same stuff. And, it's amazing some of the friendships you can make through this, and you don't even live in the same state. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's definitely been a huge case. Like I said, man, I've met all these guys I've been friends with. I've talked for a couple of years, and finally went to HR and I met them in person, talking in person. And I was like, I'd known them for years, and I really had. Just because you talk on Instagram or Facebook or over text message or phone doesn't mean you're not friends. I mean, it's pretty cool, dude. There's a piece of the pie here for everybody else. So a lot of people don't fight. I mean, yeah, there's occasionally drama, but I mean, it is what it is. I try to steer clear of that, but I used to be a pretty big troll, and I've kind of cut that out of my life because I got in some trouble.
Yeah, well, when I first started podcasting, there's, I won't go into that, the whole story about who I started with. And
I went back and listened.
Yeah, that was a bunch of drama, and it was good to get away from, which I'm done with that. But and I do feel like, I think when I first started, there was some people that said that they wanted to see me do well, but they didn't, because like they would say one thing and their actions did other. And I just never wanted to be that way because it's not a pissing contest. You know what I mean? Like we're all we're all doing the same thing. That's why I'm willing to help anybody. You know, I don't know everything, but if I can help you, like save you a couple of bucks and a few headaches from shit that I messed up, or you know what I mean? Or I bought this and it didn't work. Like, you know, Chris too. Like, I remember when Chris hit me up saying, hey, I want to start this channel. And dude's fucking tearing it up. He's got a million subscribers now. And yeah, I've been doing it longer than him. Am I mad that he has a huge YouTube channel? No, Chris is my boy. I'm glad to see him do well, and that's the way it should be. Um, you know, like the tactical awards, people were like, "Oh, Gil, were you upset that you weren't nominated for the best podcast?" And I'm like, not at all. You know, for one, I didn't even podcast that much last year. You know, I wasn't even out that much, and I don't give a shit. All those guys are good dudes. You know what I mean? The HVAC jerks won. They're great guys. More power to them.
The only bad thing about Chris is he always costs me a bunch of money because he has all these fancy tools and I end up buying them.
That's funny.
That's my thing, man. I'll see a tool, I'm like, ooh, it's shiny, and I want it, and I end up buying it. My wife's like, how much does this cost?
Well, see how you want. I'm just letting you know, and Chris will agree with to this. Chris, you listen to this guy. I know Chris will agree. The more you start doing podcasts, how you are with tools is how you're going to be with fucking podcast and filming gear. Because I was a tool whore, and now I got to have like this camera or this mixer or this computer. It gets bad.
That's funny. Yeah, that's like this camera we had. My wife's had because she used to do a little bit of photography just to play around with, and so I was like, hey, I'll just use this for now until I find something else out. But yeah, I already see it. Like I said, I'm a terrible person when it comes to spending money. I always want the best, and I don't research it. I'm like, oh, let's buy this, and now I'm like, I'm trying to edit videos and stuff, and this computer I have has been giving me some fits. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go build like a $4,000 gaming PC. And my wife's like, no, you're not. I'm like, why? I need it. She's like, well, show me some return on investment. And I was like, well, we will long term.
Yeah, that's funny. Chris said, haha, my bad. I just filmed a van tour, so open your wallet, Pat.
Man, I wish I had control of my vans and I'd be all pack out and stuff on the wall, but we get the cheapest shelving kit out there, and I try to jam stuff in there and make it work. Yeah. But my problem is I have so many parts. I work on so many different things, and it's just I don't have room for tools. I think I have stuff stacked up on the floor. I need to do a better job with that. So the Rodecaster 2 Pro is awesome.
The Rodecaster 2 Pro is fucking awesome. I love this thing. It's the best thing ever.
That's funny. You can do all that with it?
Yeah.
Hey, announcement. Spill on aisle 4. Spill on aisle 4. Can we get that cleaned up? Thank you.
That's awesome, man. Don't make me. See, that's my problem. Just like when I bought my GoPro 8, like 3 weeks later, the GoPro 9 came out. So I bought this Procaster, and now like 3 months later, the Procaster 2's out. I'm like, oh, come on now.
Yeah, and I had no idea that it was coming out because I don't pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. But when I saw it, I was like, I have to have that. Plus, I need to buy things for the podcast for tax write-off purposes. And it worked out because the other one, I have some things where I want to. I have I'm not buying any more of these. I have the pod mics, and now I can use that mixer because I'm going to some schools. I have it set up where I'm going to podcast live from some trade schools.
That's cool.
So now, yeah, I'm waiting to order a case. So now I'm going to have a setup to be able to take with me. So it made sense, but I'm glad I made this because, to be honest, they're two different things. Like they're similar, but they really did like redo this and revamp things because some of the things in this it blows the old one away.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll look into it. I'm going to deal with this for a private. See.
Yeah, you're good, man.
I want to get involved. There's a program called Skills USA. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a high school and a vocational program, and it's a competition. It's a yearly competition thing. They go this year. Last month they were in Atlanta and had a big competition. You think it's just based on trades, but really it's like hairdressers, it's dog grooming, it's people fixing furnaces, residential appliances. They're trying to build the commercial side of it for appliances and HVAC. So look into that, man. It's a pretty cool thing. They have a charter in every state, so maybe something to look into. I want to get into it and try to promote my side of it, and then maybe interview some kids. But I lost track of time and didn't put in my request soon enough, and I didn't have anybody to cover my area because I'm just so short staffed. So next year I'm definitely going to go to the conference, but it's Skills USA and it's everywhere, so it's something to check out. I look forward to working with them. One of the guys that's the trainer for Safesa, he actually is on the board and helps like judge and stuff, so it's pretty cool.
I'll check that out, dude. I definitely want to be able to give back, man. It's that's why I do this. I love going to the high schools and letting these kids know that college doesn't have to be the only option. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did that with my son, and I kind of felt bad. Like you, he could have played D1 school somewhere. He wouldn't have gone for free. I'd have been paying for it, but he could have played D1 ball somewhere. And COVID hit, so he didn't get the in-person visits. He didn't get the woo, them six, wanting them and that kind of stuff. So it was all video conference. He's like, this is stupid. I'm not going to it. So he kind of gave him on football. And he talked about going to school, and I just told him, I was like, dude, you're a party boy, man. I'm like, I know what's going to happen. I said, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. You're going to get kicked out, and you're still going to be on the hook for that money. I was like, I'm just warning you. And I don't know if I did the right thing. Kind of scared him off. I was like, man, you can make a lot of money in the trades. And, I started telling him what I actually make. And he's like, oh. And he was trying to get on as a lineman, but it's just taking too long. And he's just sick of waiting on everything to come together. So he's going to start with me next week. So I'm anxious to see where it's going to lead. But my youngest has always said he wanted to work with me for the last couple of years. And he's always pretty good. Like he just got his license, and we had to work on the car, and the AC compressor went out, the seal went out, and the bearing and the seal went out, and it lost all charge and locked up. And I was like, hey, we got to change this, and it's a nightmare. And I was like, you're driving this car, you're going to do it. And I showed him where it was at, and I checked the charge, and it was all gone. So I was like, okay, let's pull that off here. And he pulled it off, changed it, and we pulled a vacuum on it, got it down to like 400 microns, charged it back up, and he's rolling around in AC now. So
Nice. Well, like I said, man, even if they don't get into it, man, the trades, as long as they learn how to be mechanical and use their hands, it's good. Not telling kids don't go to college. I'm not saying that by any means, but go for a hard skill. If you're going to get a degree, okay, what are you going to do with that degree? Don't just, I hear it all the time, I'm getting a business management degree. Okay, what business are you going to manage?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, that's not how you gamble in your life, dude. That's a waste of money and a bullshit degree unless you're getting it for a purpose.
The high schools are so driven to force these kids to college, and it's not the place for everybody, man. It seems like it's just I'll say I think it's just a money racket scheme. I mean, unfortunately, I hate to say it that way, but that's what I feel like it is. They just force these kids where if you want to be something in your life, you have to go to school, and that's not the case, man. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm probably in the top 2 or 3% of my class as far as money earning. I mean, I work a lot, but even if I didn't do it, I'd still be up above most everybody I went to school with that went to college even.
Yeah. I got a few kids I went to school with that are pretty loaded, but that's because mommy and daddy had money. So they were set from the get-go.
Yeah, there were some kids that I think I had 1 or 2 doctors, and maybe I know one kid was a lawyer and he got disbarred for doing some dumb shit. So
well, it's funny, and they think high school, like when you're in high school, like I was, like I tell my son, like I was that jock, I was the prom king, the homecoming king, like I was all that stuff. But in the real world, that means nothing. It means nobody gives a fuck. When you go for a job interview, it's not like, oh my God, you were the prom king? Oh, we'll hire you.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. And I said, all those kids that were, you were making fun of, or you called them nerds, it's fine. They're laughing now when they're living in their big house, driving their Mercedes, being like, you may have been cool for those 4 years, but now in the real world, who's laughing at who? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that important.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer. I know you had stuff you want to do tonight. But I appreciate you coming on. You want to tell these guys about the podcast, where to find you at, and all your information, man? This guy has a great podcast. I don't do residential, and I don't own a business, and I listen to this dude religiously. As soon as I see one come up, I click on it and I listen to it driving around. So he knows his stuff, and it's always good. There's great people on there all the time. So where can we find you, Gil?
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, so pretty much if you search HVAC Uncensored on any platform, you will find me. Video podcast comes out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's into my Facebook group. So on Facebook, HVAC Uncensored Nation, that is my group. HVAC Uncensored on Instagram, and then on YouTube. And every Monday, the audio version. So it's kind of like, like me and Pat did our video, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
3 or so, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so the videos come out, and then the audio is a couple of weeks behind it. But yeah, I talk about a little bit of everything, man. It's so I am in the residential game, so I try to give tips to technicians and help people in business or management. So it's a little bit of everything. But I like to bring different people on and cover different stuff. And now I'm starting to do the hangouts like last night, where I wanted to get back to them, come on and just talk and meet people, give some things away. So if something you guys are interested in, yeah, check out HVAC Uncensored. I would appreciate it.
Well, if you do our hangout, let me know. I had a big Jeep event. We do a big Jeep event every year for the benefits to local animal shelters, and that's what I was at. But I came in towards the tail end, but I was in no shape to be on a podcast. So everyone check Gil out and give him a follow and check him out. So, all right, guys, we're gonna get off here. Take care, guys.
See ya.